Austin, Texas schools are about to teach kids radical sex practices and also urge them to keep information from their parents. Keeping Austin weird just took a very creepy turn. I'm Dr. Duke. She would be Katie if she were here, and this is the Dr. Duke Show. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Dr. Duke Show. I'm on my own today because Katie is actually hiding in AOC's linen closet with a banana cream pie. This is the only program, the Dr. Duke Show, that keeps you educated on the craziness impacting K-12 classrooms and college campuses around the world. Today we're talking about a Minnesota drag queen that went spread eagle with a miniskirt in front of little kids. Plus, a dance studio in Australia is marketing pole dancing classes to 10-year-olds. Must be right next to a trailer park. But we start in Austin, Texas, where a school board unanimously approved a new radical sex ed curriculum starting in third grade that mandates anal sex instruction and, of course, activism for LGBTQ ideas. This is the Austin Independent School, ISD. School board approved a radical new curriculum for kids from third grade to eighth grade, third grade to eight-year-olds, that encourages all kinds of sex at younger ages, urges kids to join LGBT pride parades, and aims to redefine biological sex and erase the very words mom and dad from the children's vocabulary. More than 100 people testified against this. This is the trend. Hundreds of people to show up to protest this, moms and dads. You know, the moms and dads who are paying the property taxes that fund these schools, and the school boards ignore them anyway. More than 100 people testified against the new curriculum, and testimony lasted well into the night after midnight. Yet, the school board unanimously and without dissent approved the curriculum. We have a document that calls attention to this curriculum. It's from a group called Texas Values, and they studied very carefully grades 3 through 5 of this curriculum, and shows that children are being encouraged to abandon the terms mother and father and mom and dad. These are too gender specific. So imagine an 8-year-old going home to his mom and dad and saying, "Mom, I can't call, hey, Mary Ann, I'm not allowed to call you by mom anymore because my third grade teacher told me not to." Use gender-inclusive language always. The curriculum advises teachers it is important to avoid terms which refer only to male and female, biology and science, because that gives kids a limited understanding of what gender is, and it creates binaries, as if male and female are harmful because they're binary. This erasure of biological sex runs absolutely throughout the curriculum. In a draft document for grade 6, the curriculum actually defines biological sex as something utterly and completely arbitrary, assigned and decided by the doctor rather than rooted in DNA and biology and science. This is what they're teaching. It's 6th grade. They're teaching kids this. And so we have a problem here, America, and the state of Texas, I'm more than reasonably sure. The legislature, the governor's office, most of the people of Texas are not behind this, but this is Austin, right? And we got in this trouble with Common Core. Common Core, as we know, about 10 years ago now, Common Core was bribed into the states. And what we told you from the very beginning is that whatever else Common Core was, lower standards, lower achievement levels, right? Radical social justice replacing genuine education. It was also going to be a Trojan horse for these kinds of things. Radical sexuality, radical gender politics, Planned Parenthood feeding into Common Core curriculum providers, exactly this kind of nonsense. And here it is. So states all across the union were bribed into taking Common Core. Nobody was consulted at the state level other than the very high education people. Huge federal grants were given to the states, and voila, 46 states have Common Core. And then we're told, can't get rid of it, can't get rid of Common Core because it's a local decision. Common Core was forced into the schools in the states, and then once it was there, the reason it couldn't be uniformly repudiated is because of local control. You see the hypocrisy there? On the one hand, states like Wisconsin were forced to take it by the DPI. On the other hand, we can't get rid of it at the state level because every individual school district who didn't get to vote Common Core in now has to vote to remove it. And that's why we're stuck here, right? So Texas may be a conservative state. Texas may have abandoned Common Core. At one point, they even considered making Common Core illegal in Texas, and yet Austin has local control, so they can do this. And the scary thing about this is, what's going to happen is, it's not that all the other sane and sober districts of Texas are going to overwhelm and change the mind of Austin. No. What's going to happen in Austin is going to creep out to the rest of Texas, just like what happens in California creeps out to the rest of the country. I'll give you another example of this. Besides the story of that, we have another another story that's related to Austin, Texas, and it reads like this. The sex and gender revolutionaries have officially taken over Austin Independent School District without firing a single shot. In spite of overwhelming opposition from parents and pastors, the district trustees voted on Tuesday morning to implement this pornographic sex education policy that includes instruction specifically on anal sex and how to place a condom on an erect penis for children as young as 5th grade. The father of a 5th grader demanded to know, who gave the school district the right to do this? Who gave you the right, Austin ISD? You have overstepped. Well, unfortunately for this father and hundreds of other protesters, it's a moot point now. The radical sex education policy provides graphic instruction on gender identity and mandated support of LGBTQ movements. In other words, your kid goes to school, not only is he going to be given a radical sexual education that is not just about information, that is about activism, he or she is going to be mandated in the course of their education in Austin to become actual political fighters, actual political agents in defense of radical LGBTQ ideology. You will not be able to escape that. So what's really shocking about Austin, it's not just that they're teaching sex to little kids. It's not just that they're teaching graphic sex. It's not just that they're showing kids how to achieve and perform graphic sex at younger ages. It is this fourth knob here that is relatively new to Austin. You're going to be in a school, you're going to be kindergarten to high school in Austin Public Schools. You will have no choice. It is mandated that you become a participatory activist for LGBTQ ideology. And our next story involves a drag queen in a skirt and nylons who exposes his crotch multiple times to little kids. And this, of course, is happening in Minnesota. What in the world happened to Minnesota? Mom and Dad, you think about how many stories we've done on this program that center around Minneapolis. It should really startle you. You think about California, you think about perhaps Austin, Texas, I get that. You think about the East Coast in New York, but Minnesota seems to be the Midwestern hub for this kind of stupidity and confusion. This was in Minnetonka, Minnesota, Hennepin County Library in Minnetonka, Minnesota, where Sasha Soto, a drag queen, read to children during Drag Queen Story Hour at one of the tax-funded Ridgedale libraries. A blogger named Ann Taylor attended the event, thinking it wouldn't be all that bad. She went there thinking, oh, these conservatives are overreacting. This isn't a big deal. It's just a man in woman's clothes reading. But she found out something quite different. Taylor wrote, quote, the drag queen strode in suggestively past the children. She sashayed in, right? Sitting down in a chair before several preschool-aged children with his legs spread wide, exposing his nylon-covered crotch in front of the little kids sitting at eye level, right? I mean, little preschool kids face-to-face with this man's nylon-clad junk. We noticed that he did this often while reading nervously before the kids. It was a peep show. This pervert got to sit there and open and close his legs right at eye level with little teeny tots. It's unbelievable. According to what Soto was wearing, Taylor reports, quote, we're talking a sleeveless cutoff t-shirt resembling SpongeBob SquarePants with his midriff exposed, a pink miniskirt, rainbow ankle socks, and black spiked heels that were above 6 inches long. The wig he wore was a mermaid-style crimping in the color of bright orange and makeup that was far too much under the neon lights. About 22 kids in attendance, ranging from infants, toddlers, and preschool kids. The library claims these events are suitable for these ages and families. In a statement, the Hennepin County Library told The Blaze that the program is relatively new and that it is unfortunately making mistakes. You think? Among the mistakes, here's the comment from Hennepin Library. Storytime together with drag performers is a relatively new program. Drag performers historically were leaders in the fight for equality. The equality to do what? To flash your junk at little kids? What is the equality that these drag queens are fighting for? I mean, it's stunning to me that you can turn adult men prancing around in costumes and being sexually suggestive with infants, you can turn them into some kind of pioneers for freedom and liberty? But there will be likely be more mistakes to come, the library says. Quote, every performance is different. This allows a new story hour every day, but introduces the possibility of new mistakes. In other words, the progressives that run Minnesota libraries are telling you, we don't care how many kids we traumatize, we don't care how inappropriate these adult men behave with our little babies. The fact is we're going to keep doing it, and the mistakes are just part of the growth process. In other words, Minnesotans, it's more important that your little children are perved on by adult men in dresses than it is that you protect them. But then again, we have to ask ourselves, 2022 adults brought their children to this, their infants, their toddlers, and their babies. And the takeaway from these stories is that what the progressive adults of this country want are little children to be sexual beings. They want to turn your toddlers and your elementary schoolers and your middle schoolers into conscious, choosing sexual beings. They want them to engage in experimentary sex. They want them to engage in exploratory sex. They want them to realize that their bodies are sexual way before you, I, and any civilization would allow them to. And why are they doing this? Not because they're pro-sex or pro-body. It's because they want to destroy the relationships between parents and the children, the idea that parents are the moral overseers of the kids. They want to destroy Judeo-Christian values like humility and modesty and decency. They want to get rid of, they're using your children with sex as a way of taking down the entire culture. If you can remove from little children boundaries, if you can remove from little children morality, if you can remove from little children the idea of shame when it comes to sexual behavior, because there are some sexual behaviors that require shame. Modesty is the opposite of shame. And if you're going after modesty, what you're doing is you're removing shame. And so what's our third story today? Youth pole dance class offered at Australian Dance Studio. Yes, you got that right. Blackburn is a suburb of Melbourne, Australia, and it is also home to Pole Dance Addiction, a dance studio with a very creepy name. And this dance studio, Pole Dance Addiction, is pushing classes for children as young as 10 because some parents pushed it, according to local news. Community group Collective Shout is fighting against this, saying the idea that we would encourage girls to participate at age 10 in this is a form of sexualization and grooming. We just said that, right? You are grooming children and you are sexualizing them, not only to have sexual experiences, but to undermine the morality and the values of Western civilization. There's lots of ways kids get into exercising. We don't need to be looking to the sex industry and the fitness industry for such activities. That's exactly right. But of course, studio owner Melissa Combe says that they are misunderstood, that the youth classes don't sexualize minors and are more akin to gymnastics and aerobics, right? Here's the thing that gets me about these kind of things. Who is it that watches pole dances? Again, creepy men. Who is it that go and see these things? You're training little girls to slide up and down poles, to do the little gyrating that you do on these slick poles, right? Scantily dressed. Who is your audience again? When did we as a culture, when did Western culture decide that the whole purpose of little children was to titillate confused and perverted men? I thought we spent most of the 20th century getting away from this idea. I thought that was the purpose of feminism, right? To stop allowing men to objectify women, and particularly young women, and particularly preteen women. No. Now, pole dancing and men in drag with nylons covering their crotches and the entire Austin school district now have decided that the purpose of young children, among other things, is to titillate adult men. There are thousands of ways that little girls can exercise that have nothing to do with pole dancing or striptease or burlesque, right? None of that has to, you can exercise little girls 1,000, gymnastics. She says it's much more like gymnastics and acrobatics. So if you got gymnastics, and you got acrobatics, and you got ballet for that matter, why do you need pole dancing for 10-year-olds? The reasons you need these things is for the attraction and interest that creepy adult men like Sasha Soto bring to such situations. And that'll do it. If you like the show, please consider supporting it by signing up for the Patriot Club. Just $25 a month. Come on, that's nothing. $25 a month keeps us rolling. And right now, we'll ship you a limited edition Dr. Duke Show mug. Tumbler, just like this, right? And Mike, cue the Price is Right music. Dun, 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 dun. $25 a month. And not only are we going to give you this wonderful tumbler, we're going to give you the Dr. Duke Show squeeze ball. To sign up, go to the drdukeshow.com, drdukeshow.com to get started. And that's it for us today. For Freedom Project, I'm Dr. Duke. Until next time, Stay educated, my friends.